Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday live show. If you are in the house, I salute you. We're jumping right into our topic of today, and I want to start by asking, something, dear parents, in the real world, right? We are not entertained every time we are bored as adults, right? If we are not entertained every time we are bored as adults, why then is there a need for us to rush quickly to entertain our children every time they say they are bored? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maribeth Shima, and I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources, the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle. And today, we are looking at a very interesting topic, one that affects every parent, yes, and every caregiver. We're looking at the challenge of constant entertainment for children and how we can fix this. I started by asking, the world does not reward your boredom with constant entertainment. The world does not throw you a party every time you say you are bored. Why then do we as parents think that it is our job to entertain our children every time they say they are bored? Is it wrong that your child is bored? Is there anything wrong with children being bored? That's what we are going to be looking at. Whether we need to amuse our children every time they are bored, or that we need to help them create internal regulation within them to fix or to get themselves engaged every time they feel like there is nothing happening in their life. Now, I want you to know that when we constantly show up and entertain our children, what we find out is that we raise children who are confused, children who panic every time the world stops dancing for them. That is the reason why your child will get so angry, throw a tantrum, and lose it or have a complete meltdown every time you refuse to allow them be entertained. You take the remote control, or you take their tablet, or you take their phones. This one happens a lot amongst teenagers. You take or you seize your teenager's phone for some time and you will see hell. I have heard stories. I've been privileged based on what I do to have parents come or reach out just because things went really wild in their home, simply because they withdrew a phone or a computer or tablet from their child. Now, this is what we are seeing around us. Children go into real full-time panic when we take these things that have become the source of their entertainment, these things that have become a source of what they consider living a good life. Now, what are we exactly doing to these children? I think it's a conversation that we need to have, and we need to start having as quick as possible. All right. So we have realized that I am bored is really a thing to be worried about. I am bored is not punishment. I am bored is not something wrong. I am bored is not something that you as a parent should worry about. I am bored is an opportunity for your child to interact with their environment and discover within that environment what else they can do. If you fill out your child's boredom every time, or you rush him to hand them your phone, we see this even amongst parents of little children. You have a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, and they are upset, they are crying, or they are hungry, and the next thing is you are handing them a phone because for some reason we have told ourselves that it's our job to fill our children's boredom. As a matter of fact, we have decided that every time your child is in a foul mood, it has to be that the child needs to be entertained. So that's why a child is hungry, we are handing them phone. A child is restless, you're handing them phone. A child probably needs to rest because the child is stressed. You are handing them phones. Now, what we are doing is more damage, dear parents, than it is that we are helping our children. We are raising a generation that cannot tolerate a quiet mind. That is what we are doing. Because every time there is a quiet time in their lives, every time that there isn't entertainment, every time that our children are not jumping up and down the place, we want to assume that something is wrong. In fact, a lot of us parents are the ones who even insinuate these things or insinuate that there's a problem. You just see your child quiet for some time and you ask 1,000 questions. What's wrong with you? Why are you not playing? Why are you not watching TV? We have completely eliminated the place for a quiet mind in our child. No wonder they cannot tolerate a quiet mind. Every time children find themselves in that quiet place, they tend to lose it altogether. Now, let's look at 5 hidden things that could be what is responsible for your child's boredom that may not necessarily mean the absence of activities. Yes. So sometimes, a lot of the times, you think that the only reason your child is saying, I am bored, the only reason your child is upset that they cannot get entertainment, we just trivialize it and we settle it and say, oh, all they need is just a little more entertainment. But dear parents, I want to tell you today that sometimes the real reason your child is bored all the time, the real reason your child complains of not being entertained is more than that. It could be a deeper issue that you are already dealing with that you do not understand or you do not know yet. So let's look at some of these, underlying reason why your child could be bored, and how we can begin to fix it now that they are young. Are you a parent of a 5-year-old? Are you a parent of a 4-year-old? You have children between 4 and 10 or even 12-year-olds, or you know someone who has children in this bracket. Go ahead and invite them to be a part of this stream right now. Take a few seconds and invite a friend, share the link with them, and let them join us as we continue in this conversation. Number one reason, I'm giving you a few seconds before we jump right in because this is getting even more serious. Okay, so have you invited a friend? If you have invited a friend, let me know in the comments that you have sent this link or you have tagged a friend to this stream. If you are with me, let me also know that you have joined me. And if you're catching the replay, let's also know that you joined on the stream or that you caught a replay of the session. So number one, do you know that it may be that your child is not just simply bored. Your child is having an overstimulation hangover. Did you hear that? Your child is having an overstimulation hangover. So you see the way someone who is addicted to alcohol or someone who is addicted to substances, whatever substance, the way they have a withdrawal, the way they are dealing with withdrawal when their substance is taken away from them. It could be that same thing that is happening to your child. Now, let's explain this. So, what actually happens to your child's brain is your child is experiencing a dopamine crash. You know that every time your child is being entertained, is watching all of those fast-paced activities on whether it's on your phone, on the TV, on the tablet, you know that these things that our children watch, especially for your young children, you know that they are overstimulating. The pace in those programs are fast. Things are happening in the scene. At every point, things are happening in the scene. Now, your child has been programmed in their brain that activities are fast. Something is always happening every time. It's a lot of colors, it's a lot of movement, it's a lot of conversation. This is how you are structuring the architecture of your child's brain. These are the kind of neural connections that are happening in your child's brain. Everything is fast paced. So when your child comes to the reality of his everyday life, when your child comes to the reality of your home, right, while you are saying to him, sit down and rest, or you're saying to him, do your homework, or you're saying to him, read a book, or you're saying to him, it's time to pray. When you come with all of those activities that make up our reality, the activities are not fast-paced, they are not highly stimulating, they are not stimulating, and it's not fast, it's not colorful, it's not a lot of action everywhere. Of course, the child is bored because the child is not used to this slowness. The child is not used to this docility that is happening around him. All right. And so the child is having a hangover, or the child is missing that thing that keeps him pumped. And you know that every time the children are in that place where they're having this fast-paced activity and everything, dopamine is being released into the system. Dopamine is that feel-good hormone in our body that is released when you're doing an activity that you love, that you enjoy, that is making you happy, and all of that. And so because your child's brain depends on these fast activities for them to get, every time they go through this fast activity, they have dopamine rush into their system. Anytime they are not in that space, there is a deficit of dopamine. So your child is experiencing a crash at that point. So if they are used to high-paced digital graphics and back-to-back structured activities, and all of that, a quiet room feels like something painfully slow for them. So a quiet room is painfully slow for them because it is not giving him or serving him that dopamine level that the child is used to. So no, parents, your child is not bored. It is withdrawal from constant high. So your child is like that man that drinks alcohol, that is constantly high, and all of a sudden he doesn't have money to get high. Your child is like that one that takes whatever substance, and of course, you know how they are. These people that are under the influence of substances, every time they don't have money to get those substances, we've heard stories, we've seen stories, it's all over the place. You know how they lie, they go from one place to the other, they lie. Sometimes they even have to steal, they sell their property, they sell everything, right? When you are addicted. That's what's happening to your child, sadly. Your child is experiencing withdrawal because now you have taken away that thing, or it's not available at that time. So no, you are not just dealing with a bored child. You are dealing with a problem already, and it is time to look at it, dear parents, and begin to fix it. How did you contribute, or how is it likely that you have contributed to this? When providing immediate screen every time, you're constantly handing your child a device whenever they feel, whenever there's nothing happening in their life, you hand them a device at every interval. Your child is only what? 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, 15, you are arguing everywhere. Why shouldn't they have a phone? A phone is a part of life. We need to communicate with them. We know we have all the perfect excuses why we do the things that we do not understand, right? It happens to a lot of us as parents. When we cannot, the things that we cannot uphold, you have heard this over and over again. You cannot even put your finger on the real need why your child needs these gadgets. But because, of course, it is acceptable, is what all their friends have gadgets, everyone around them have gadgets. You are tired of explaining to their mother or explaining to their father. For one reason or the other, you hand them this. And we know, even for you as an adult, how do you manage those gadgets and all of your screens that are available to you? Some of us wake up and the first thing we do is take our phone. At every point, you feel like you ask adults a lot of time, what is the one thing that if they take away from you, you will probably lose your mind. People will tell you over and over again their phones, right? They will tell you over and over again their phones. So you turn, I mean, every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes, every 1 minute, you are checking your phone. It's one thing or the other. That's you, that's an adult that understands, right? That you need to do other things, or that you need to probably work or make ends meet and all of that. Now we're talking about a child that doesn't even have the mental faculty, or doesn't have the sorry, let me not use that. You're talking about a child that does not have the control or cannot control themselves around these things, and you hand them this same thing that you are struggling with. So you see, automatically you're already putting the child in that place where the child is going to be this person that is addicted. So many times you think your child is in school learning, but half his attention is on something that he needs to get back and do with his phone. So that's why they get into the car or they walk into the house. The first thing that they are doing is grabbing a phone, grabbing your phone, or grabbing their own phone, or whatever it is, or gadget, or whatever it is. Okay, your child is already addicted. So even when it feels like they're in school, they are constantly thinking about this thing. So you are burdening that child more than it is that you are helping the child. Maybe a question you need to start asking, or we need to start asking ourselves as parents, right? Before we hand our children phones, or after we have handed them phone, for those of you who already have it, ask yourself, really, what truly productive does this child do or need this phone for? Right? If this phone is taken away from this child, what exactly that is productive or that is resourceful will be, will be taken away from this child if this phone is taken. Because a lot of times the phone really has no productive or sensible, use to the child, apart from the child just simply being entertained. Now, what do? Normalize quiet minutes or quiet time in your home. Start this from when your children are as young as possible. Start this as when your children are. Normalize, create those times in your home that are called quiet times. When our children were younger, we introduced quiet time, and the quiet time was actually spiritual, where you take your devotional and then you go through your devotional, and that's after school. Like later, you come back, you have a bath, you've had lunch, and then you have your quiet time. That quiet time was 30 minutes. I haven't always known this. I was at a conference once and someone shared this. I was at a TIP conference, and Pastor Osiri's wife, right? I remember, right? Wisdom Osiri, what's the wife? I can't remember. The Favor. Good. It was Favor Osiri that shared that she had done that, or she does that with her children. And immediately I heard it made a lot of sense. And I took, that part of her conversation and applied it in our home with our children. And that's what conversations like this are meant for. When you listen to conversations like this, when you stumble on, classes like this, or you attend classes like this, don't just join, for the information. Don't just leave it at information level. Learn to take, one or two lessons that you can apply immediately. Yes, learn to take one or two lessons from, sessions like this, and apply it in your dynamics, your family dynamics, and see how this begin to change things, or if this is effective in your own family dynamics. Okay. So introduce that quiet time. What you are doing is basically helping to build the foundation that your child learns that, there is nothing wrong with having a quiet mind. Yes, there's nothing wrong with it. Another thing that we did was introduce, I've always done that one, okay, is introduce stop and read time in our home. So in our home, at 8 p.m., everything goes off, right? Even if it's a weekend. We were even stricter with this when our children were younger, right? I was stricter with this when our children were younger. At 8 p.m., everything goes off, TV, everything is off, everybody just grabs a book. So it became such a thing in our home that you didn't have to say anything. All you needed to say was 8 o'clock. And everybody goes, grabs the book that they are reading, and we all read for about 30 minutes, including me, right? At the time when the children were much younger and we used to have domestic staff, do you know that I had people who were I had domestic staff like helps at home who started reading in our home simply because, who started reading books simply because of our stop and read session. Whether you were visiting, whether you were a niece, a nephew, or anybody, as far as you are in that house, whatever you're doing goes off, and we all had that stop and read time. So right now, you will come to our home and you would wonder, for an average Nigerian home, you come to our home and the TV hardly comes on. And I'm not joking. Even during the holiday, the TV in our home doesn't come on till about 1 p.m. Yes, that's when TV comes on, about 1 p.m. And everybody knows how much, or the kids know how much TV time they have. If we don't learn to control these things, you will load your child, you will make your child a dopamine junkie. Yes, you will make your child a dopamine junkie. And it's not just something that will make a mess of them today. As they grow older into adults, you find that they are unable to stay on task. They are unable to start and finish projects. They are unable to start anything meaningful, build businesses, or do anything that requires them to be disciplined, because entertainment is a given. Number two, underdeveloped muscle for imagination. The muscle to imagine has not been sharpened or has not been exercised over the years, because at every point the children are given toys or given things that entertain them passively. So their engagement or their activities are actually passive. When you hand your child a video game remote, that activity is passive. All right, the child just needs to sit in one spot and then use their hands and all of that. So every other thing is happening on the screen. Now, a lot of times, it does not allow the child to critically think and solve problems. They just make a little effort, and the rest of it is done by AI or whatever it is that propels these games or whatever it is. All right. So this is part of the challenge that we have. So what actually happens is creative thinking is a muscle, right? Creative thinking is a muscle. The ability to think and profile solution is a muscle that has to be sharpened. The more you put yourself through thinking and figuring out things, the more you do that, the more it's easy for you to create solutions, because you're always in that place where you are thinking. But if children, as I said, are handed toys, right, that do everything, right? So it even starts from when they are little. You know those little toys we buy for them? The little toys that we just need to turn and the toy goes around. It does all the singing. It does all the moving. It does all the everything. And all the child does is just stay there and watch it and laugh. This is how some of these things are. I mean, these are the challenges that we start, posing right from when the children are young. So I said video games or toys with pre-programmed sounds and stories. These are not exactly what our children need. All right. So it stops the child from imagining. It stores thinking and creativity, right? So they don't know how to start games from the scratch. They don't know how to start things from the scratch. Now, these are some of the issues. And how do we encourage this as parents? You are the one that buys all of this. You buy, some of us brag how our children have lots and lots of toys. But if you check those toys, you realize that these toys are all pre-programmed toys, right? They are highly active. They are toys that, are passive, activity. They bring get our children active, in passive ways, basically. They get them engaged rather in passive ways. Now, what can we do? What can we do to help them? Provide raw materials, yes. Swap your complex gadget with open-ended resources, right? So I share a lot about the things that I did with our children when they were younger. I share a lot about that. In fact, I have a whole channel for our daughter. Yes, I have a whole YouTube channel that is private for our daughter. What I do, or what we did with that channel, is we created, I mean, of course, her journey, right? Our daughter's journey, all of the things that we did, we just keep posting it there. We just keep posting it there. Sometimes she goes there and she watches her YouTube channel. It's not public, from time to time when I work with toddler parents and one of them is struggling with something, doesn't know what to do, I just give them access to the channel. Just go watch a few videos there so that you understand what it is that I'm talking about. If you watch the videos, you will see we did a lot of open-ended activities with our daughter, even our son, who is almost 17. So we have a lot of sticks. There's sometimes I will even go to carpenters and tell them to help me cut chunks of wood. Those woods, right? Make them into beautiful shapes, cut chunks of it. You can do that, especially if you are a parent of toddlers. Say, parents of toddlers, this is when the work should be done. This is when you need to do the work. If you invest in doing the work right now that your children are 0, 2, 3, 4, I promise you by the time they become teenagers, you will chill. You will rest. That is the real rest. That's one that when your children become teenagers, the journey becomes a walk in the park for you, just because you were present and invested when they were toddlers. Yes. So go to carpenter. I used to go to carpenters and I would make the carpenter create a chunk of wood and then a shorter chunk that the child can fit in there. Now, there are ready-made materials, Montessori materials that you can buy, right? That you can buy, and the children, loose parts that the children can figure out things on their own. Do that. But it doesn't have to be, you may not have all the money. So sometimes you talk about these things and parents will come and say, oh, okay, it's not everybody that has the money. That's why I'm giving you these options. Go to the local carpenter around you. He will be amused by it when you even come. Look around the store, you will see those chunk of woods that they don't use anymore. And then pick it and ask him if they can help you. If I ask the carpenter's boy to do it, when he's done, give him 2,000 naira or something like that. What you're doing is, loose parts are things that your children can create something or anything out of. They are not fixed kind of toys, right? So you can have different chunks or different sizes of wood and then different shapes. Now the child will have to be the one to figure out which shape goes into what, and all of that. That's the best way to teach your children about shapes and sizes, right? So teach them spatial awareness through loose parts. Teach them problem solving using loose parts. These are the things that we should spend our time doing, right? I was telling someone, when our children were much younger, I don't know where the energy came, but I realized that most Saturdays in our home was actually spent creating one thing or the other. There are days that daddy had to join us to create kites. I remember when my husband had to create kites with our son, and then he did that also with our daughter and all of that. It was a whole 2-3 hours activity. Do you know the amount of bonding that goes in there? Do you know the amount of creativity, the amount of imagination, do you know the confidence that goes into a child being a part of something from the scratch to the end? They cut the papers, they go buy the thread together, they get the broom, they do all of that together. And at the end of the day, she's there. I have those videos in the channel also. At the end of the day, you see her trying to make the kites fly, and then we go all the way to an open space, and she's there flying the kite, and the kite is going up, and she's excited. Do you know what that does? When people think that inventors and innovators come from, it is from being able to sit in that garage, whatever your garage is. We are told that the Albert Einsteins and Thomas Edisons and all of these mighty people who invented and did all these wonders that we have, they spent time in their garage. Your garage doesn't have to be that space under your basement anymore. Your garage can be anywhere. The space where your child can feel free to explore and to create. create a garage for your toddler. Create a garage for your young children. Let them use loose pad. Let them figure things out. Let them couple. Let them put apart. All of these things. This is what your child should spend time doing, not jumping from one gadget, from one channel, from one whatever to the other, right? The more we do this, right, the more we reduce their dopamine, their dopamine addiction, right, that is making them bored all the time. Children who do hands-on practices are not always bored. It is the ones who are constantly watching one thing or the other. When you take that from them, withdrawal happens. And so dopamine crashes, and of course, they are sad. So you are the architect of your children's sadness because of what it is that we as parents are the architect of our children's sadness because of what it is that we have introduced them to in the name of saving them or curing them of boredom. Okay, so I wonder prompts, right? When they complain, don't give solutions. When your children complain about something, don't give them solutions. Say, I wonder what an explorer would do in this room right now. Oh, mom, I'm trying to do this. I wonder what an explorer would do with that information right now. Get your child thinking that he is the possible explorer. Get your child thinking or knowing that you expect more from them than for them to always come to you to give them answers. Let your children get to the point where they are glad to give you answers. I look around these days, I have conversations with my children, and I realize that my children are in a place where they give me more answers than they come to me. Than they come to me for answers for basic everyday things. If the children come to me for answers, it is answers on critical issues like them trying to understand how the world works, sex conversations, why this person acts this way. So it is more serious things. When you say these basic things, the basic things of life, I realize that my children are giving more solutions. They've reached a point where they feel and they are comfortable in their self-awareness and in their sense of self-worth, right? And of course, their ability to proffer solutions. So you're asking about animals, you're asking about things, you're trying to figure out a word, you're trying to think they are providing solutions. You need to get to the point where your children think that they can solve your problem also, not them always thinking that you need to solve their problem. Okay, so leave a creative gap in your child's life for them to feel all the time. That is how you solve this problem of you providing toys and things that are constantly entertaining your children, right? That is how you get to help them exercise their thinking or imagination muscle. All right, number 3 is there is a hidden need inside of your child for connection. There is a hidden need inside of your child for connection. So what is actually happening is not your child being bored, right? Your child is not bored. It's just I miss talking to you. I miss talking to you. I miss playing with you. I miss you seeing me. So when your child doesn't feel seen, when your child doesn't feel heard, and this doesn't mean that you are not at home. You could be a stay-at-home mom. You could be a stay-at-home father. You could be a mother who works from home. You be a dad who works from home, and yet your child doesn't feel seen by you. Why is that? Because your child does not have your full attention. Half the time you're talking to them, you are on your phone. Other times you are on your laptop. Other times you are always busy. So they come to you and you are upset. Did you not know I was in a meeting? So you are either in a meeting or you are on a call or it's always one thing or the other. So when they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard, right? That could be what your child means when the child says, I am bored. The code is, I miss you. The child doesn't want an activity. The child wants their parents. The child doesn't want an activity. The child wants one that can be generated and can be done with you, their parents. Okay, so that's not the time to hand them a gadget or hand them the remote control, right? They are only complaining in the bid to get your attention. or your reaction. If they cannot get your attention, then they are going to do something to get your reaction. Have you not heard that even negative reaction is attention to your child? So if you cannot see me for good things, I'm going to scatter something. I'm going to break something. I'm just going to do something sharp that will help you see me. So any attention at all, let's, the child can, if the child can get you to leave those things and look at them, for a minute. So dear parents, so when they come and they are bored, sometimes that is what it is. It is not, it's just a need for connection. How can you do this? How you have encouraged this? Okay, I always do that. Is you are always, as I said, deeply engaged in other things that do not involve the children, right? You are always making a fuss about them, disturbing you, about them. There's some parents even, the children are trying to even connect amongst themselves, siblings connecting and all of that. They are playing and having a good time. You open the door and you are yelling. You guys make too much noise in this house and everything. So you will not have them have time with you. You will also not allow them have time with their siblings. So before you know it, your child is bored, your child is tired, your child is not comfortable in his own space. What can we begin to do, parents, to help this kind of situation? Invite them into your routine. Create a routine that actually spells out or keeps specific time for your child. Do that. I got to a point one time and I said, I needed to start closing at a particular time because I realized, when I tell our daughter, right, when I tell our daughter we're going to do something, she will tell me, mommy, you will not show up because you'll be at work, or you will not show up because you'll be working. So she said that once or twice, and I told myself, okay, this is actually a thing. She actually thinks that I don't have time for her. So I had to put a seal. I had to put a closing time, right? And when I get home, I leave everything. So for the time between 6 o'clock and 8 p.m., I do nothing. So in the past, I will have live classes at home sometimes. I'll do an impromptu live. I don't do impromptu lives at home anymore, right? I don't do impromptu lives at home anymore. That's not the time to talk to my friends. That's not the time for a lot of things. That's the time that I'm with the children. So we start by cooking together. Of course, we have driven home together. We've driven home together. We've had conversations and on our drive home and all that. We get in, everybody gets a quiet time. We come back in. So cooking, we go into the kitchen together to cook. As we're cooking, that's time we're spending together. When we're done cooking, we sit down and then we have our meals together. That's some time we're having together. When we're done with that, we do a tool or activity for the evening. That's something that we're doing together. And then lastly, we have a quick Bible study, before everybody retires. That's something that we are doing together. And that's it. And they go off. I go to read. In the past, we would stop and read together. We used to do the stop and read, but everybody in my home is a voracious reader, as in we're not struggling with reading anymore. Our children love to read. I have books to read. Daddy is always reading. So we can now go our different ways and read or complete the books that we are reading. So we don't need to do that together anymore. So they go and do their homework, read a book, do whatever it is at this point in time, because we have already built this skill. But for you may not be in that place where you have developed that skill. And so you may want to, try activities like stop and read, and then there are times we switch these activities. We play a board game together. There are times we switch it at the weekend. We watch a movie together. Whatever it is, right? Do something that can get you all engaged, together at the same time, right? So I said, instead of finding kid activities, find something that you can do together. Of course, we have dinner together, that's it. The child feels seen, the child feels heard, and then the child is not constantly looking or trying to search. Why is your child searching for your attention? Why does your child have to perform to get your attention? You need to create a system in your home where your child knows that you have or they have your full attention. All right, so proactive connection right, as I said. So give them 10 minutes of uninterrupted time. Do you know, even for you, dear busy parents, whatever kind of job you do that gets you so busy, do you know that all you need sometimes is to come in and give them hugs, and all of that, and tell them mommy needs to rest for about 20 minutes or daddy needs to rest for about 30 minutes. Now, after those 30 minutes, come out, go to their room, sit with them, and give them uninterrupted 10 minutes. Leave your phone, leave everything, just uninterrupted 10 minutes that you sit. Don't question them. Start by telling them what your day was like. Oh, I had such a beautiful day. Open the floor for conversation, right? Invite them to talk to you, invite them to be open to you. So when you have those conversations, sometimes it's even tough times or tough things that you have had to do that day. Oh, I got into trouble with my boss today. You don't even want to know what happened. Let your child know that you have time to gist with them. Yes, make it your gist session. So go there, gist about it, you laugh together, and you see what you have done is you have opened a communication line between you and your children. So it's easy for them to tell you their own, what has made their day great too, and how much fun they have had also. All right, so this is part of what you do that gets your children from that place where they are constantly shouting, I am bored, I am bored, I am bored. All right. Now, another one could be decision fatigue. Yes. Your child is bored. What actually happens is the child looks at a room full of clutters, toys, this one, remote control, many channels. Your child has too many options. So sometimes your child has so many options, right? And they don't even know which one. So you can actually have them have all of these things, and sometimes they are just at that point where it's too much for them. It's too much for them. The child is overwhelmed. So yes, your child can be overwhelmed also. We think stress is just for adults. Your child's brain can be overwhelmed because they have so many options available to them. Don't give children burdens that are too much for them. Why does your child have a tablet on one hand and then the remote control on another hand, and then two of his toys sitting around him? You're already introducing that child to a world of stress. Why does a child have to deal with 500, 600 options at the same time? Do you know why they have 506 options? Okay, on that remote control, how many channels are there? Those are all the options available to your child. That same remote control, all they need to do is click on, use a particular button, and they have all the options on Netflix available to them. That same remote control, the next one, their PlayStation pad is probably there with them. Every time you see your child in that level of chaos, know that your child is already overwhelmed. If not, why do they have all of these things around them? Now, this is you. This is you introducing your child to a life of chaos, leaving every single toy, book, gadget, all around the child at every point. When you do that, you are leading the child to a life of mental chaos. Yes, learn to have the children do one thing at a time. Are you done with playing with your toy? It's time to clean up. Clean up, everybody do your chore, or let them clean up and know that they are done with that. Help your children transition from one activity to the next activity. That is how you teach your children organization skills. That is how you teach them the discipline of making informed choices. That's how you teach your children how to start and finish things. So when we say sometimes you as a parent could be your child's biggest disadvantage, it's not because we're saying you hate your child or because we're saying you're a bad parent. We're just saying there are things that you should know that because you really do not know, you may be sabotaging the child without even knowing it. So yes, as parents, we can actually sabotage our children without knowing it. As parents, we can actually be the roadblock to our children's destiny. You see those village people you're talking about, at some point, or if you're not careful, you may be your child's village people. that is stopping your child from becoming wholesome and becoming the best version of themselves. Not because you are a bad parent, not because you're a wicked parent, but because there are things you need to know that you probably do not know. Okay, if you're following me and you have, or you are in this on this stream right now, you have a friend who needs to listen to this. You know someone who has young children. You know someone who is already dealing with these issues. Why don't you go ahead and tag them? Tag them on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is up now. So tag them on YouTube to watch this. Okay. You may be you may be saving a child's destiny by simply having the parents, watch this and know, these little things that could be making a mess of the child without knowing. Okay, so pack away, as I said, pack away 70% of the things and let the children have only what it is that they need per time. Have a structured screen time if your child is of age, because I don't know why your 3-year-old has any business with television in the first place. They don't. So if your 6-year-old is going to have screen time, then have structure, know what kind of programs they can watch. There are some places that are a no, and then have specific amount of time. If possible, have a particular time that is their screen time, that the child is able to learn discipline by using that. So you use screen positively and actively, as opposed to a parent who just raises children to consume it, and that becomes a reason why the children are chaotic. They don't know discipline. They don't. So you could actually make a mess with the screen, and you can actually empower your children with their screen time. Use it to teach your children discipline. This is your screen time daily, especially, only during the weekends, and from this time to this time. Now we will set an alarm. When that alarm goes off, screen time is over. I need you to get up, turn off the screen, or turn off whatever it is, turn it off, and then drop it, and then go to the next thing you're supposed to do. Do you know how much discipline you would have taught your 6-year-old, your 10-year-old, just by teaching them or allowing them go through this kind of system? Dear parents, when children learn discipline, you are not a bad parent. You are not a parent that is depriving your children. Forget all those things that your friends, your cousins, your siblings, your husband, or your wife says, just because you are trying to do the right thing. Because a lot of times it is the people who are close to you that will trip you first. They will tell you to let children be children. I know those things. So been there, done that, I've heard them. They tell you how you are overdoing, how you are this, how you are that, right? But they don't ever tell you how much damage you are causing the child by letting the child just go on and on and on with screens in the name of entertaining them. Today we're talking about the challenge of constant entertainment for your children and how you can fix this. If you are with me, say something in the comments so that we know that we've got company. All right, the last thing I'm going to be talking about is inability to process stillness. Emotional avoidance. So your children cannot process stillness. You think your children are bored. No, they are not. What is happening is when things go quiet, when internal thoughts and the calmness that's supposed to come from inside is accessed by your child, the child cannot deal with it. Yes. Internal thoughts and feelings bubble up. The child cannot stay quiet. The child is used to things moving. So for some children, stillness will bring a vague sense of unease and restlessness. This happens even to your teenagers. That's why you will tell your teenager to go for a conference and the teenager will fight you with everything. If the teenager goes one day, the next day the teenager will come and fight. They cannot be still for 30 minutes. They are irritated. They are angry. They are upset. Why are we saying teenagers? This happens even to a lot of adults. So that's why you can't even use your money to pay to attend a course. How? Why? The only time you attend a course in your life, the only time you attend anything is that the office has pinned you down to go for that thing. In fact, even while you are going for it, it is not the thing, the training or whatever you're going for, it's the extra code. It is the extra code or whatever it is that you will be paid when you go. That's the focus. So even when you are in that place, you are irritated, you are angry, they are wasting your time. You need to go back to the hotel and you need to go shopping. These are the issues. So that's why your teenagers, I know I mean, of course, I know this. I work with children. I've worked in a school. So our children's school has this, I've forgotten what you call that program. Is workplace something. It has something to do with workplace, and all of that. So from time to time, it's a personal development program that the school has for the children. So the children will come, they will teach them about the work life. They teach them about work life, career, and all of that. And I hear gist of how some students are so upset any day they have that. Any day they have those programs or they have to, you will see children vividly upset. They can't sit in one place. They cannot sit in one place and receive anything, that is not high powered, lot of movement. It has to be entertainment. It has to be entertaining. Life is all about being entertained. Life has to be fast all the time. So stillness is a problem for your child. Stillness makes your child anxious. It makes your child feel restless. It makes them feel unease. So they go to, some of you teenagers, you parents, intentional parents, you probably have them in, one teenage program or the other. Yeah, if you belong to TIP, you probably have them in DLA, you have them in GoHub, or you have them in the Teens Success Academy and all of that. And you realize that you are constantly fighting. They are constantly fighting you. They don't want to be there. They don't want to be anywhere at all. It's not necessarily because they are not learning or these places are not effective. It's simply because the child has been raised, right? And entertainment has been prioritized over the years. So these places, the only way your child can relate to them is that they are boring. So that's why they come back and tell you they are bored, they are boring, and the next year you will not pay. Oh, she doesn't like it there. Who told you she will like it? She will not like it there today. She will not like it tomorrow. You will not like it ever if you don't start doing something about it. Even in the children's mastermind circle. So I run a mentorship program, an accountability program for young children. Yes, children between ages 4 and 10. If your child is not in the mastermind, you are wrong. Why? Because the mastermind is a foundation ground. We run a solid foundation program in the mastermind where our programs are tailored to meet these needs and to build this foundation actively and intentionally. We know that if we don't get it right during this phase, then we may raise children that will struggle, or you will struggle with when they become teenagers. So in the mastermind circle, accountability is close. We see the children are engaged, the children are a part of the system, the children are engaged in the system, the children are seen, the children are known, the children are not in any passive thing. They're not in that space, where the accountability is far, because we know that if we get it right during the foundation, then later it's going to be all easy. So the mastermind is that place that sees and helps you work intentionally with the child in the foundation. And that's why the mastermind program is just for a few years, between when the child is 4 and age 10. So we grind the foundation and we're present. So the child is working, we are seeing their work, we're acknowledging it. Children want to be seen, children want to be heard. Children want to know that you see their efforts. So in the mastermind, we see them, we hear them, we see their effort, we acknowledge their effort, we work with them. Everything we do in the mastermind is hands-on. So the children are building their their talents, their gift. The mastermind is the perfect foundation ground. So if you have your 4-year-old, they are not so young, bring them right into the mastermind right now. Let us begin to put these things in place and in perspective. So by the time they are 11 and they are leaving the mastermind, they're rock solid, because now they understand why they need to do the things that they need to do. They understand the benefit. They have grown in the system and they have been consistent. Very key. Very key. All right. So very key. All right. So we're talking about the last one, and we said, what did I say? All right. So we talked about inability to process stillness. They can't. Okay. Now, what you have done to encourage this, you keep background music constantly around in your home. There's no quiet time. There's no quiet moment in your home. Some of you, your home is noisy from when you wake up in the morning till the night. As you are walking into the house, TV is on. In fact, I used to say that when I was in university, I lived off campus and I had a TV in my room off campus. So I walk into the room, and the first thing I do is I pick the remote control and I turn it on. Whether I like what they are watching, show, whether I don't like, let there just be noise in the background. Let there just be noise in the background. But if you check, it's because somehow, no one, taught me how to be quiet that way, right? So some of our homes, it's one music channel to the, so there's always something playing, and so your children cannot be still. In fact, if the music is not playing, they are the ones screaming themselves. And I tell my children sometimes, in the morning, I don't allow them. Don't do that. Don't sing in the morning. I'm like, be still. Guys, be still. Mornings are for reflection. Let them reflect. So get into that system. Let your children's confusion not start in your home and you don't know it. Okay? TV's playing, radio's playing. In fact, in some homes, you go to every room, there's a different noise. You go to this person's room, he's doing his own. You go to that person's room, there's madness there. You go to the living room, so stillness is going to be a problem for that kind of child. So when they grow older and they get into places where there is stillness, when they get into organizations where there's stillness, when they get into jobs, when they get into anything that is still, you will see them. I am pissed. I am bored. They're constantly looking for how to run away. That's why they don't last anywhere. Then we come and we say, oh, Gen Z. No, Gen Z is not the problem. It is how we have raised them. Gen Z is not the one that is just bored. It is the deeper things that are happening inside of the Gen Z as a result of how we have raised them that is the issue. The restlessness that your Gen Z now is plagued with because of the kind of environment we created for them, right, in the name of entertaining them and making them happy. My children have to have what I didn't have. That's the issue. Okay, so model stillness. How can you solve this? Model stillness. Let them see you sit quiet and read a book. Let them see you journal at the end of the day. In the mastermind circle, we have the children reflect in the evening. You reflect on the tool of the day, reflect on what it is that we've talked about, okay, that we've talked about in the day, or what you did. And then you journal based on that reflection. And when I speak to the parents in the mastermind, I tell them, make your reflection with the children a tradition, such that you are finished eating and you all grab your journals and talk about the day for 5 minutes and okay, let's reflect. We finish reflecting, and then the child knows what it is that the child is writing in their journal. Journaling will also help your children to master the act of reflection. Then let your children read meaningful books. If there's anything that helps your children practice stillness, it is reading. Now let them read books that is not just about whippiness and laughing and laughing and laughing. Let them read books that while they are reading, they are triggered to stop and think. And this is why we create the resources that we create. I'm made bold to say that the resources that we create are PTM resources. They are not just mere books. I say every time that we create books for experiences. We create books that will give your children experiences so that you can take them in your home and create an environment in your home that becomes an experience for your child. I have just written three amazing books because we want to nip this thing in the bud and start right from when our children are as little as possible. So I've just written my first book series for children 0 to 3. If you're a parent, you have 0 to 3 year olds. If you do not pre-order these books, you are wrong. You know someone who has children 0 to 3, you have children 0 to 3, please go and pre-order. At the end of this session, you will have, oh, let me see, do we have a banner for that? Anyway, at the end of this session, you will have a link. Okay, we don't. Sorry, at the end of, sorry, our YouTube was off for a while, for over 2 weeks, or almost 3 weeks. So we've not been using, StreamYard platform. So we did not update anything. But at the end of this video, please check in the comment section. You will see how to get on the wait list for our pre-order flash sale for our new books. We have 10 new amazing books. And you can get them on the 29th of June at a whooping 40% discount. And it's not a joke. We're not just calling numbers. One day after that flash sale, you will be buying those books at the original price, okay? At the pre-order price, and it is a lot compared to what you'll be getting it on the 29th. So we have 3 beautiful books in my first book series. The children can interact with this book, as I said. They need to start putting their hands to what they are doing. They can interact with this book. They will play with this book. They will laugh with this book. It's not about passive entertainment. Then we have the bedtime stories for little champions, where you have more than, I can't remember the number of stories in that book that you can read together during bedtime. You can do that with your children. So 4 books, in that bundle for 0 to 3 year olds. Okay, we have a bundle for 0 to 6 year olds. That's the one you should grab. It has our Little Mind series. Our Little Mind series introduces your 4 to 6 year olds to tiny chapter books where they can now begin to build their reading. Now they are full readers. Now they can start reading chunky, small chapter books and feel like big boys and girls. Okay, but it's all of our books are age appropriate. Your children will love them. You will love them as well. So you can get that bundle for 0 to 6 year olds. So as soon as your child transitions from 3 to 4, you already have books waiting for them. I started buying books for my children when I was pregnant. Yes. By the time our son was born, I already had a shelf for him with books. So what do you want to see? Start planning and preparing for what you want to see in your child. Parenting is done backwards. What do you want to see at 10? What do you want to see when they are 20? Go and visualize that and begin to parent backwards. What do I have to put in place right now for us to achieve that? That's how it is. You parent your 2-year-old for the 20-year-old that they're going to be one day. Very important. So put the books, fill them around your home, fill your environment with books, fill your environment with books, get the children to interact with books, get them to read the right kind of books. It's not all about your children just reading wimpy things that do not add value right to them. So let your children begin to read meaningful stories that will make them feel fun, entertained. Let your children read different genre of books. Let them not just stick to one kind of books. Okay, that's what we're trying to say. And then we have our Skill Up series for our 9-year plus. So our Skill Up series for our 9-year plus is the book, for children who are going to learn skills, build skills. And yes, that's the book that you read together when you want to teach them different things, so that you have conversations when they're done reading, or they finish reading the book and then review the book and you get to understand what's going on in their head. Perspective. So we got you covered. You have children between 0 and 10, even 12-year-olds can read our Skill Up series. We have you covered. Okay, if you don't have our books, if you don't have our old books, what are you doing? All right, so we have amazing books, 12 of them all together. So we have the Bedtime Stories for Champions, belong to the Bedtime Stories series. We have Christmas Stories for Champions, all about what Christmas was like when we were growing up in the 80s. That's what you have here. Beautiful stories from Makurdi to Kaduna, from Lagos to Ibadan, what Christmas looked like for the average African home. That's what this book is about. It's for anybody and everybody. It's not a religious book, at all. All right, playtime stories for champions. This one is called endless activities. I told you about activities. Yes, the kind of activities that will get your children thinking and problem solving. This will take your children away from screens. Beautiful book, right? Your children from zero can to age 10 can use this book because it's just endless activities that they can do together with you. And my books, the illustrations in my book are just beautiful. My books are just always beautiful. Yes, please. All right, then we have Adama's trip to grandma. So you can read these stories to your children. Adama's trip to grandma. You can read this to your young children, your 4 to 6 year olds especially. But a whole group of children can listen to you read them a story, can't they? So this is it for you. Or your older children can read these books on their own. I talked about journaling. So our journal is here. It is all year round. So your children can get to use our journals to journal and reflect, on their daily lives. All right, then we have the Destined for Greatness. This is part of our Skill Up series, okay, where the children get to read about African great men from Africa who have done great things in the continent and are recognized all around the world. The Mandelas of this world, the Okonjo-Iwealas of this world have written this in a playful, childlike manner that the children can tie their experiences to and then use these people as reference. Okay, we have the enemy who stole my time. This one is to teach your child how to manage their time and how to leave all of those things or identify those things that are stealing their time. They are their enemy and then deal with those things. And we have, of course, so we have 12 books, as I said. This one is for money. We want to teach our children the right money mindset, right money mindset. So this one is young and money smart. All right. And then we have the unlocking excellence, how to guide your child to excel in the classroom and outside the classroom. This book, beautiful. And then we have Mira the Courageous Bird. It's another storybook, right? That you can read with your children, your younger children, and your older children can read by themselves. All right, so these are, you can get all our books. They're all on Amazon. They're also on Seller. If you want to get copies for yourself and for your children, for your children, we have Far Away from Home, right? It's one of those storybooks also. And then lastly, we have Wisdom Stories for Champions. All right, so you can get all our books on Amazon. We have our books on Amazon. You can also get them from our Seller store. Just reach out to us and we will share the link to our WhatsApp catalog and you can order for them. And we have distributors in major cities around Nigeria, so you can actually get our books from our distributors in Lagos, in Benin, a number of major cities, Lagos, Benin, like Uyo. You can get our books all around. And then we have distributors in Canada, we have distributors in the US, in Scotland, yeah, and then Ghana, and so you don't have any excuse. You can get our books if you want to get our books, and you should get our books for your children. You want to put the right resources in their environment. Thank you for joining me today. I do not take your time for granted. If you catch the replay and you have questions, please go ahead and ask us. If you have a friend or a loved one who needs to watch this session, please share the link with them. And remember to follow us on YouTube so that you get an alert every time or notification every time we go live. Thank you again for joining me. And yes, the flash sale is on the 29th. You can get all our new books at a whopping 40% discount. Don't miss that one. And if you want our old books, please reach out also. Thank you again for joining me. Have a blessed rest of the day and a wonderful weekend as the weekend begins tomorrow. Bye for now. You want your child to join the Mastermind Circle? Please reach out to us. Our number is 0813062156. So just drop a DM or a message. The comment in the section, just say mentorship and we will reach out to you. Thank you again. Have a blessed day. Bye.